Okay, give me just 1 second here so I can open up my screen for you. All right, here we go. So, hello everyone. My name is Samantha Solomon. I am a special educator at Mastery High School of Camden, and I'm so excited to tell you all about the special education services that we provide at Mastery High School of Camden. Just a little bit of background about me. I have had the opportunity to study special education across the world. I started in California at UC Santa Barbara for undergrad. I was able to teach over in Philadelphia with K through 8 grades, and then go to University of Pennsylvania for grad school, which gave me the opportunity to travel to South Africa to study special education, and eventually to Costa Rica to see what special education looks like there as well. I say all of that to point out the fact that I've seen special education in so many different places, and I am truly so proud of the special education programming that we have developed for Mastery High School of Camden. Our mission statement. This is the mission statement for the school as a whole. All students learn the academic and personal skills they need to be truly prepared for post-secondary success and able to pursue their dreams. A couple parts that I highlighted on here that I find especially important for special education programming, starting with all students. All students includes every student that has a disability, every student that has any extraordinary needs, and it really points out that our school is very inclusive. All right, so all of our students are provided for with the best services unique to them, and it allows us to serve all of our students to the highest way possible. Post-secondary success. This is great for our special education programming as well, because post-secondary success can look different for each student, right? So some students choose to pursue college, some students pursue vocational school, some students would decide to go straight into a job setting or work with the Department of Disabilities to have a job coach in a job setting. So the possibilities here are endless, and I really like that we don't pigeonhole what success looks like for each student. And we allow them to pursue their dreams. So they really have a large say, if not the largest say, in what their post-secondary success and what their goals are. We make sure that each student has services aligned with what they want to do with their life, right? So we're really focused on person-centered planning and what we can do for each student individually. Briefly, these are the touch points I'm going to go over. The Mastery Way, what the different settings are that we provide services in, RTI, and then what other services we provide at school. All right, so the Mastery Way. Like I said, really love the special education programming that we have provided and created at Mastery High School of Camden. So, every child is unique. Therefore, their education should be also by Jeannie Fulbright. I think this quote perfectly encompasses what we do at our school. Right? Each child is viewed as a unique individual, and we think about what that student's goals are, what they're trying to accomplish, and what services they need specifically to help them reach those goals. So no student is the same, so therefore we don't have like a cookie cutter layout to what special education services looks like for each kid. It is very individualized. Just like the puppies here, if the window is their goal, one puppy might need just the floor and a little railing to get up there. Another puppy might need a whole crate to stand on. It just depends, and it's very unique to each individual what services they may need. So we provide special education programming in the general education setting, in supplemental classes, and then in our life skills support class as well. Something I love to point out here is that our school is so inclusive. You can see in this top picture, there's a group of students that are in the general education setting that volunteered, approached the life skills class completely on their own and wanted to bring in a special treat for Valentine's Day. So they made posters, they brought in treats for them, and the class just loved it. They got to hang out with some of their peers from the general education setting and just celebrate the day. You also see on the bottom picture one of our students that is in our LSS class working for yearbook, taking pictures of the women's basketball team for or during the homecoming rally. So we really make sure that students, even the students that might be in the self-contained class for a majority of the day, are really involved with students across the whole building. All right, so the general education setting, students can receive special services in this setting in the form of accommodations and modifications. So that might look something like getting extended time, so extra time on assignments or tests, having graphic organizers to help them with their writing or organizing their thoughts, having their directions printed out in front of them, receiving copies of notes, etc. This list goes on and on. But that might give you a general idea of what services would look like in the general education setting. This sample schedule is from a ninth grader. Ninth graders at the time that the schedule was created, were taking technology. So you can see that they are fully involved and included in all of the general education classes. None of these are taught by a special education teacher, but their teachers would work with the case manager to make sure that their accommodations and modifications are being met. Supplemental classes. Our school has an amazing set of supplemental classes, unlike anything I've ever seen. We actually have special education teachers that teach math, ELA, and social studies, which is really hard to find. I actually haven't seen any other schools that have that, so that's really cool. For science, we don't have a special education teacher that teaches science as a whole, but we do have one of our paraprofessionals that works in special education that helps with our science classes if needed. So if there's a lot of students that are requiring some extra support, we do provide that support in that general education setting for science. So supplemental classes, what this looks like, they're smaller class sizes. It's not as many students. Block classes, so they have 2 periods in a row of that course so that they can spend a lot of time breaking down each concept. It's taught by a special education teacher. Of course, they have modifications and accommodations in there. And then we also use a lot of UDL strategies or universal design to learning. So things that we can do for the whole class that will provide assistance to everyone. It's not just for students that have IEPs. This is also for students that fall into our higher levels of our RTI program, which we'll go over in a second. But what is awesome about this is if a student is really struggling with math, regardless of if they have an IEP, they might be able to take that supplemental class and catch them up essentially, right? Like increase their ability in math with that extra support. Lastly, the last setting that we have for our special education services is our life skill support class or our LSS class. This is very near and dear to my heart because this is the class I've been teaching for the past few years at Mastery. We have students that stay with the same group of students for the majority of the day. They had the highest level of support in our building here. It's mostly students, or it's all students that have intellectual disabilities. They get to take part in community-based instruction, which is trips or not really trips, but leaving the class setting and going out into the community for lessons outside in the community. So learning how to take the bus, how to get the right change for the bus, how to go grocery shopping, etc. And then also work experience. We have internships in the building. We have connections with community members to help them get set up with jobs and job coaching outside of the school building. And just very holistic view to assist each student towards their goals. So here's a sample schedule for what the LSS classes would look like. We have daily living skills, we have math and ELA, all with a LSS teacher. So we have 2 different LSS classes. So those are differentiated by the the level that is appropriate for the student. So which skills is appropriate for the certain students in those classes. PE and health is inclusive, so they are with the general education teachers at that time with general education students. They have lunch with everyone else in the cafeteria. Then they would have social skills with an LSS teacher. Art or some other form of elective, they get to choose which elective they want to participate in. That is, again, in the general education setting. And then pre-vocational skills or in-house internships, that's when we work on resume building, on interview skills, the students that show that they are ready for the next step of pre-vocational skills get to do in-house internships. And we have over 7 internships in the building where they get to work and job sample essentially what different jobs in a school might look like. That has been an amazing experience helping develop that and seeing how much their skills grow when they're doing it for real, right? Like, for example, working at the front desk, learning how to file, learning how to deliver letters to teachers and drop things off, navigating the map of the school, having those social skill experiences, etc. All right, so response to intervention, RTI, basically we have 3 tiers, right? This is not just for a school. This is a system-wide approach. So it's a multi-tiered system of supports. Tier 1 would be considered everything that happens in the general education setting, all right? So that can include universal design to learning, things that we can do for a whole class that benefit everyone, or just specific accommodations and modifications that can happen in the general education setting, okay? Those accommodations and modifications start to blend into Tier 2 as well, which is more targeted. We also would consider our supplemental classes where students are working with a special education teacher just for certain classes that they show need in. That would be Tier 2. And then Tier 3, being the most intensive, would be our LSS class, right? So, of course, there's a whole nother set of RTI tiers for behavior interventions as well. But as far as our special education programming goes, Tier 3, LSS. Tier 2, the more supplemental or more advanced accommodations and modifications. And then Tier 1 being the general education setting. All right, other services that we have available at the school, these would be, if dictated by a student's IEP. So we have speech therapy, of course. Our speech therapists are amazing. Not only do they pull students for one-on-one or group speech, but they also push into classes and get to participate in the class and see what the student is doing in their setting that they are typically in for the majority of the day. So whether it's coming into LSS room or another general education or supplemental class, and being able to see how that student is communicating and socializing. Occupational therapy is also offered. We also have a couple OT or occupational therapists that will push into classes as well, which is, again, super cool. They, of course, pull students for one-on-one and group OT as well, but being able to work with the student in the setting around their peers so that they can see how the student is reacting kind of individually is really cool. Physical therapy and then counseling. Our social work department has grown astronomically and they're just absolutely amazing. We have individual counseling and group counseling, and we even do not interventions, but accommodations and group conversations with classes at a whole school building level as well that our social work team suggests, and then we get to implement them, whether it be now in advisory or even at the beginning of classes as kind of a social emotional warm-up, if you will. This is one of our students in the LSS class, and he is showing off his work that he did practicing his spelling words. Something that's just so great about the students at our school is that at first, sometimes when students first join our school, they have been taught from previous experiences that their work isn't as great as other kids, right? And something that we've been able to do with the culture of Mastery High School of Camden is create a sense of pride in our students in whatever it is that they can succeed in. Right, so this student is so excited that he was able to successfully practice his spelling words independently for the first time and stay focused. He wanted to show everyone, right? He wanted to go show his PE teacher. He wanted to show the assistant principal. He was so proud of himself. And we provide him that opportunity during transitions or during lunch breaks to really show off his work. So that being said, if you do have any questions in regards to our special education programming, you can email me personally. My email is on the screen, samantha.solomon@masterycharter.org. If I don't have the answer for you, I will, of course, loop in our assistant principal or any other staff at the school that might be able to answer your question. Lastly, I know a couple people had questions about what special education looks like in the virtual world this year. And I just wanted to say that some of the things we have provided for students include touchscreen laptops for our students that are in LSS and need that more tactile technology. We have specialized styluses for them to help navigate the computers. We've been able to provide the entire school with certain application or extensions on their computers that help with reading text, with text to speech and speech to text, so talking and it typing for you, or it reading the words that are on the screen. We have dropped off materials for students. We've had students pick up extra materials or manipulatives. We do lots of phone calls, lots of communication to check in with the students and also check in with the students' families. And overall, the feedback that we've gotten from students in special education and from their families during this new type of class setting, right, being virtual for part of the year, has been great. The families have seen growth in their students, and listening to them talk about how proud they are of their kids and what they've accomplished has been absolutely amazing. So, that being said, Mastery High School of Camden, our special education services are unlike any services I've seen anywhere else. And I'm so proud of what our school has accomplished with developing this program. And we look forward to meeting with you and answering any questions that you might have. Have a fantastic rest of your day. Again, I'm Samantha Solomon, and this is Mastery High School of Camden.